Hey guys, Dr. Dean with Proform Chiropractic and Sports Performance coming at you today to talk about why 10 reps. This is kind of a follow-up video to a video I made a few days ago about why 3 sets. So you can go back and watch that video if you so desire. But today we're going to talk about why 10. How did 3 sets of 10 reps become a thing in the personal training and strength and conditioning world? Well, we used to think that the number of reps that we did really mattered if we were trying to elicit hypertrophy, muscle growth, right? And so if you were talking 4 to 6 reps on this end of the spectrum, it would be too low. Um, and 20 or 25 reps up here on this end of the spectrum would be too high. We had this magic sweet spot that we thought, 10 reps or so was where we wanted to live in order to get strong, or in order to get hypertrophy gains. Well, after further study, it turns out that it doesn't really matter how many reps we're doing if we're looking at hypertrophy. But what does matter is that we're not leaving more than 2 or 3 reps in the tank, meaning we're pushing ourselves hard enough where we couldn't do more than 2 or 3 additional reps if we absolutely had to. And so it doesn't really matter if you're doing 6 reps or you're doing 25 reps, as long as you're taking it to the point where you couldn't do 2 or 3 additional reps, you're probably going to elicit hypertrophy and muscle growth. Cool. So the number of reps doesn't really matter. Well, not exactly. There's a few other things to take into account here. And that is that at either end of the spectrum, there are some drawbacks. So if we are down here at the 4 to 6 rep range, there's potentially more risk that comes along with that because you're handling heavier weights, bigger poundages. And up here at this end of the spectrum, you are getting into metabolic failure where you can't complete the Krebs cycle and you kick off a lactate and you're going to get potentially very sore. And then that might prevent you from training again the next day or on your next training day. And so at either end of the spectrum, there are potential drawbacks. So for your average fitness enthusiast, athlete, bodybuilder, it still probably makes the most sense to live around that 10 rep mark most of the time to mitigate the risks of heavy poundages and mitigate the potential drawbacks of getting super sore from doing 25 reps to failure, right? But that doesn't mean that you can't go to the ends of the spectrum. If you want to focus a little more on your strength, then you can bring the reps down to the very low reps and still get hypertrophy and strength. And if you want to, if you're a wrestler or someone that wants to work on that metabolic conditioning up in the 25 rep range and still elicit some hypertrophy gains, then that's perfectly valid too. So for the most part, probably still live around that 10 rep range, but travel to the ends of the spectrum if those are the training goals you're looking for. So why 10 reps? Now you know.